Dave Lawrence, and a very special guest joining us on the Workforce Blocks at noon today. I could not get Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, or John Paul Jones to join me, unfortunately. They're not available right now to talk about the record, but I am truly lucky, very grateful to have a knowledgeable friend that I can call for some first-hand accounts of the heyday of Led Zeppelin, and even the recording of their How the West Was Won material. This guy did, in fact, record those performances, and many others for Led Zeppelin, as well as instrumental studio stuff, just colossal recordings he's done with them. I'm honored to welcome to 105.9 The Big Kahuna producer, engineer extraordinaire, Eddie Kramer. Aloha, my friend.
Aloha, and a couple of big kahunas to you.
How are you, man? Thank you so much for taking a few minutes to do this with me, Eddie.
My pleasure.
So tell me and the listeners how you first got hooked up with the Zeppelin guys in the beginning.
I met Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones. They were session musicians in London when I was working at Olympic Studios. And John Paul Jones I got to know very well. He became a very close friend. A year later, this was roughly 68, he said, why don't you come over to my house and I'll play you an album we've been working on. So I went over and listened to it, and I was absolutely stunned and amazed. I said, my God, this is really very heavy stuff. And I said, well, what do you call the band? And he said, Led Zeppelin. I said, God, that's a terrible name. Boy, was I wrong.
What was the first project, rather, that you did when they were under the name Led Zeppelin?
When they came to America in '69 for their first tour. By this point, they already had their first record out. They brought with them a whole bunch of tapes for Led Zeppelin 2. I worked with them in New York, recorded more tracks. I edited a whole bunch of stuff for them, mixed some stuff, mixed the whole album, in fact. Zeppelin 2 was mixed in 2 days on a little 8-track console.
How many Led Zeppelin shows do you think you actually went and recorded for them?
Obviously, the big show at Madison Square Garden, which became Song Remains the Same.
That was 4 nights of concerts, correct?
Yeah, but I think I only recorded one night of those, because we were only allowed to record one night.
Okay.
But then I recorded a whole bunch of stuff on the West Coast, at Long Beach Arena and at the LA Forum, which I believe became part of the new record, How the West Was Won.
Yes, that's in fact Long Beach and LA Forum, correct, from 72.
Yeah, which is all my recording.
All of them, yeah, that's what it says on the inside. Now, real quick, though, getting back to something you just said about The Song Remains the Same, am I to believe that all of the music on this came from just one show?
That's right.
Wow, I never knew that. I always thought they had sort of like cannibalized the series of nights there at Madison Square Garden to come up with the best material for The Song Remains the Same.
No, I wish we had. I wish we had had that opportunity. I mean, Robert refused to do any fixes on his vocal. He said, no, just leave it the way it is.
Did they listen back to the shows like that right away?
Oh, you bet. Yeah, I mean, I have photographs of Jimmy and I, at Madison Square Garden. Jimmy is very, very careful about what was recorded, how it sounded, and all the rest of it.
If you go to KramerArchives.com, anyone out there online, there are just some absolutely stunning photographs that Eddie and another gentleman, it looks like, have done. You want to give a little plug for that site real quick, Ed?
Yeah, KramerArchives.com is my company. What I've basically done is put about 400 of my pictures on this website, just for people to look at. They are for sale.
And the images are very candid on some of these. They're really remarkable.
Yeah, well, I was very lucky. I carried a camera with me wherever I went, and Zeppelin didn't mind.
You mentioned the one picture with you and Jimmy or something. Was there a lot of downtime where you were just getting to kick back with them?
I think when we were in L.A., there was a lot of partying, and I guess you've read the stories.
Sure.
At the Continental Riot House, I think they called it.
Exactly.
I just remember partying like crazy, and in the back of the limousine, and back to the hotel, and staying up all night. I mean, the stories of the TVs going out the hotel window are absolutely true.
You saw them whipping TVs out the windows.
I couldn't even remember who it was, but I definitely remember objects being flung out the 10th floor, landing in the pool, I think.
Oh, man.
If I'm not mistaken. Or if it wasn't on the pool, it landed on the roof of some other... It's a bit of a haze, quite frankly.
That's called hanging with the band. It's okay. We'll take the memory even with the haze. Did you ever ride, Eddie, in that famous jet they had with the Led Zeppelin logo on it?
I'm trying to remember whether I did or whether not. I don't think so.
But you know the plane I'm talking about.
Oh, I very much know the plane, yes.
The Zeppelin Starship or whatever.
I've heard stories about that plane, too, and we won't go into them on the air.
Right.
And certainly Bonzo, John Bonham.
Did you have a good rapport with him, Eddie?
I had a very good rapport because he liked what I did for the drums. But, unfortunately, John Bonham was another person. He became sort of Jekyll and Hyde. After he started drinking, unfortunately,
Sure.
the results were not very good.
When was the last time you did work with Zeppelin proper?
That would be in 72 or 3.
And some of that stuff ended up on Physical, though, right? Because I remember you're credited on a couple tracks on that record.
Physical Graffiti and also Houses of the Holy,
Okay.
which was the stuff I recorded at Mick Jagger's house with the Stones Mobile.
Today, what's your rapport like, all these years later?
Well, I speak to them occasionally.
Like Robert, Jimmy, which one are you more?
Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah, I bump into Jimmy occasionally in the city.
You knew eventually these were gonna these tapes that you had done with him in California.
And I'm very glad they've come out. I wish I'd had a chance to remix them myself, but I'm happy that I had a #1 record a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you sure did. Yeah, we've been pounding it, and of course screening the DVD too. Before I let you go, Eddie, let's give a quick plug for Jimmy. Of course, we are the Jimi Hendrix station out here, and we're gonna have you back on the air next month with us to talk about what new release.
Well, there's a very, very superb performance by Jimmy at Berkeley, and I restored the sound to a new mix. I've mixed it in 5.1 surround sound.
This is that May 70 show?
Yeah, when this comes out, it'll be on a DVD. I'm very proud of it.
Cool. No, we're definitely going to hook that one up, and like I said, we'll get you back on the air, and we'll take care of Jimmy right. We'll do a whole other Jimi Hendrix day. But I do appreciate getting your time here on 105.9 The Big Kahuna, talking about Led Zeppelin and how the West was won, the record you recorded live in concert, Eddie Kramer. I thank you, man.
Thank you, and just remember, Zeppelin still rocks.
Damn right, man. Good to have you on board, Eddie.